Um, Today is ReaperCon, so I hope everybody is joining the ReaperCon live and finding out about new shows and how to paint and watching all the professional painters. So I would advise that you all take a look at the ReaperCon. It's on for 3 days, and you shall see lots of wonderful things and learn lots of things for your painting. Well worth a little visit. Now, today I am carrying on with my goblins. Now, last week, on the last show, should I say, I did all the blocking in of colours. And today I'm going to carry on. I'm going to put black on for the wood effects, which I'll be using some nice pure black. And I shall get all those skin tones done. And by the time I finish today, we should be ready to add those ink washes. So what I'm going to do is just get the focus in so we can see what we're doing. And I'll just get some focus. There you go. So what I'm going to do first is get the rest of that wood painted in, and then we'll work on those skin tones. And it's only a basic skin tone before the ink wash is added. And once that ink wash is dried, which will be on the following show, we'll just do the final highlights, finish it off the base, and then you'll see that we've done all those lovely goblins and got them all finished in 3 episodes. So you're talking, what, 3 hours? 3 hours and a bit to do 30-40 goblins. Not bad. Okay, let's get started. This was the brush I was talking about on Discord earlier. This is the Kalinsky brush, Wargamer brush from Army Painter that I use. It's a mid-priced brush. I think it's about £7 this brush, but it's a super brush if you are doing your miniature painting. So what I'm going to do is just go over all the wood areas, like the bow and all the axe handles and anywhere that's wood, and I'm going to just paint that black. Once the ink wash has been added, I shall be doing dry brushing over these, and it takes a couple of seconds to do each miniature, so that's very simple. So what is everybody doing with ReaperCon? Who are you going to be watching? Who do you want to see? What do you want to learn? Is there anything in particular you guys have been really excited about with the ReaperCon and what you want to watch? Hi Tal, you're up late. I've only just started, and you've also missed me making a complete mess at the start with my sound. Hi Tommy. Okay, I better give a shout out who's in the house. Scottish Andy. Thank you as well, Scottish Andy, and everybody else shouting, the sound's not working. Thank you for that. You're all keeping an eye on me, that's good. Nate's in the house, Michelle's in the house. Mrs. Touch in the house. Yay, first time again. Yes, it's wonderful that you're all coming to support my little show here. It's great. I mean, all you guys are goblins, and it's always fantastic that you're supporting me by coming on. Because believe it, it's very, very scary for me doing what I'm doing. But every time I do a show, I get more and more confidence in what I'm doing. I mean, little things like the sound not working at the beginning doesn't help, but thankfully you're all there. Can you imagine if Claire and you guys weren't there to keep an eye on what's going on? I would have done the whole show. With no sound. Oh, that would have been a nightmare. Can you imagine it? Hi Gerald. Yeah, so what we're doing, we're just going over all the wood areas with black. Quite quick and simple. And then I shall be doing the skin tones on each miniature, and the skin tone is a very, very simple thing to do. There's no wood on that one. There you go. What we're doing with the skin tones is I'll be using the base colour that I used for the initial primer, and I'll be mixing in some cat's eye green with my original colours, and I'll just be going over all the highest areas on the skin and keeping that colour quite bright, because then we'll be adding that ink wash, and that will dull down the colours, and that'll give you the instant shading over the whole miniature and makes it look absolutely fantastic. And then in the final show, which will be Saturday, we'll complete the highlighting of the goblins, and I'll show you what I do with the bases, and I'll be adding some little tufts of grass on some of the miniatures, and we'll finish the minis completely on Saturday. So yes, I popped onto ReaperCon today, and I was taking a little look at all the things to do and see. To be honest, it went right over my head. There's so much to do, and so many people actually involved in ReaperCon, which is fantastic. So once I've finished this show today, I will be taking a little look as well what's going on. I mean, I won't be able to see everything because I still have to work as well. So there we are. That's nice. It's so easy to not realise the mic was off. I mean, I have to turn the mic off before I start the show, or everybody can. All they can hear is me deep breathing. I sound like Darth Vader before the show starts. This is looking nice. A secret knock. Okay, we're gonna have a secret knock, are we, Claire? It doesn't take long to batch paint your minis. You know, once you've got your initial blocking and the colours done, you can just fly through them. I mean, like I said, I'm just going over the wood areas with black, and this won't take long at all. And then we can move on straight onto the skin tones and onto the ink washes. Cat's hair, go away. Yeah, yell cookies, I'll hear that. Okay, nearly finished all the wood. This is what's also what's nice about batch painting. We are using the a basic set of colours because you want a uniformed goblin army with the same type of colours on your goblins. So it makes it easier to paint. I'm going for a 4-colour basic scheme of 2 browns, silver and black, and then of course we're highlighting the skin, and that's all the colours that we'll be using for our goblins. But once they are painted up and finished, they look fantastic for your tabletop games. Oops, no, miles away out of camera shot there. Okay, let's see. Right, I think that is all the wood. Let me see. Yep. Okay. Okay. So let's move on to the highlighting of the skin. Now this is when it becomes fun, because this is where the miniatures really come to life, because you add in a dimensional effect to your miniatures. And this is just your first basic paint on the goblins, and that is we're going over the nose, the muscle tones, the highest muscle areas of the miniature, and then we'll be giving that a brown black ink wash that'll go into all the recesses of the miniature. And then once that's dry, then we go on to our second highlight, and that is just to pick out the tops of the nose and the arms and legs, etc., and that will just give us the finishing touch to our goblin for the skin. And that's all you need to make a fantastic looking goblin on your tabletop. So let's make a start on our skins. Now for the skin, for the first ones I used an olivey brown, so I'm going to put some of this onto my palette, and I'm using Cat's Eye Green by MSP. Let me see if I can get this palette in the frame. I'm just going to put a little bit of Cat's Eye Green next to the olive brown. I'm going to mix a little bit of the green with the olive brown, so we've got a darker green mixed in. Oh, thank you for subscribing. Awesome. So we're just mixing in that green with the brown. All we're looking for is a lighter shade of green, and not mega amounts, but just enough, just to get some green going into that brown. We give our brush a wash after mixing with it, and these are the minis that we used for the brown. So here we are. Here's the first miniature. So we can get this closer because this is important to see. And like I say, I've just mixed in the initial base colour with some Cat's Eye Green, and all we're doing is going over the highest areas quickly, around the cheekbones, the top of the ears, there's a little bit of kneecap showing there, and just there. And he's got some little goblin fingies, so we'll just go put on the fingies fingies and thumbsies. Now what we do as well, if you can see this arm here, is highest areas of the muscles, we're just going pop, 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 all done. When we add that ink wash, it blends all the skin tones in one. It will work absolutely perfectly. Again, we're going over the highest areas of the fingers, fingies, or what you want to call them. And as you can see, you're already getting some lovely tones through on that green already. And it's a very simple thing to do. Now I'm going to do this to all my miniatures quickly now in front of you, so hopefully you'll get the gist of what I'm doing. I'm just using the same colour. I'm mixing in the brown, the olive brown, with a little bit of Cat's Eye Green, just to make that green pop a little bit more. And then we just add it to each goblin face. Fantastic. highest areas of the muscles. I'll keep on repeating myself so you can all see what I'm doing. Okay, top of the kneecap there, a little bit of thigh showing there, so I'm going to put a little bit of green there. Back of the calves is always good, and of course don't forget the little ears. So we've got the little ear done, and again on the back of the mini we got the elbow, top of the muscles, working down onto the fingers, and that's all you need to do for the skin on that one. We got a crazy goblin here. This one's screaming. So I'm just going to go over the top of his mouth, top of the nose, onto the ears, back of the ears, going down, top of the jaw. So it'd be just on the bit here where my beard is. And chin, that's what I'm looking for, chin. And again, top of the biceps, just here. And on this one, on the biceps. So we're not painting all the green over all the brown. We're using the darker green below as a shade. So our miniatures, so the skin is popping through and you're getting that three-dimensional look with the skin, which is awesome. And again, once we add that ink wash, that will darken down the brightness of the green, and then when that ink wash is dried, that's when we add the second ink, the paint there, and we just add that onto it and it'll bring it back up again, the colours. I can't get my words out again today. Ugh. Got no sound, can't speak. Goodness me. Right, okay, this is a nice goblin for doing. You can actually see the ears here better. So what we're doing is we're going over the top of the ear and the back of the ear, leaving the center of the ear dark. And that gives us a lovely shade inside the ear. And this one's got lovely high cheekbones. So we just go over the cheekbones, over the top of the forehead, top of the mouth, the chin, and again we work our way around back onto the other ear. And again we're working back onto those muscles, top of the muscles, top of the wrist, biceps, top of the thighs. Oh, actually that's a pair of trousers, we're not painting over the trousers. And there's a thumb there, so we can put some green on that thumb. And again we're going to the back of the miniature and we're going just along the fingers and the back of the arm. Hi James. Who else is there? Hello Eric. How are you doing? Well, always nice to see Eric. Okay, so we're carrying on with this next goblin. Now we can show you a lot more with this one because he hasn't got a little hat on. So this time we're going over to the top of the head. I'm just going across the top. Again to the ears, side of the ears, leaving the shade inside the ear. Same on the other side. And go over the top of the nose, cheekbones, top of the lip and the chin. And same again with the arms, going to the highest muscles on the arms and our fingers. Just go over the tops of the fingers. And here on the leg. Super fast and easy, but you're getting some awesome effects for your goblins. And like I say, we will add that ink wash, and lastly you get the last highlight to finish off the goblin skin. And what we're trying to do with these miniatures is get our attention on the face of the goblin. So the face is our main attraction to this miniature on the tabletop. So we spend a little more time on the face details of each miniature. Okay, flying on to the next one. Again, we're going over the nose, cheekbones, top of the mouth, and the chin. Going across those muscles on the arms, with the biceps, back of the elbow here, onto the fingers. This has got, you've got skinny little legs, so we'll put some on the calf muscle there, on the thighs, just on the highest muscles. Remember, we always keep it to the highest muscles. The ink wash as well will help us with a lot of the work for our shading. So what we're doing today is just concentrating on getting the main areas of the goblin green onto our goblin. And once again, we carry on with the next goblin. So get a bit closer for you guys. And we're going straight over top of the mouth, bottom of the chin, and just a touch of the forehead, a little bit on the nose. Awesome stuff. Going over to the elbow, moving on to the fingers, and here on the fingers, and onto his knee, and again, looks fantastic already. Awesome goblin. Hi Andy, how are you doing? Okay, more goblins. Again, we start onto the nose, chin, top of the mouth, ears, just a tiny bit on the arm here, going along his thumb, and just on the fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, done. And again on here, done. And that's how simple it is to get some initial highlighting on your goblin. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Again, top of the nose, bottom of the chin, into the ears, onto the fingers, and again onto the fingers, a little bit on the arm there, he's got a muscle there, top of the knee, and we're done. I'm gonna speed up a little bit now because I'm going too slow here. So what we're doing is a bit faster. Just going to mix a little bit more paint. Take the paint off my brush once I've mixed it, as it overloads the brush. The muscular goblin. The best way to actually learn how to paint can be through batch painting your miniatures, because it is repetitive, but what happens is you are learning a way of painting, and it becomes second nature before you know it. And if I don't speak, I can just fly through all these miniatures very, very fast, because you've done a few and you remember what you're doing, so you can just get faster and faster and faster. That one's already done there. like I say, what we're doing is just going over all the initial highest areas. Again, the top of the cheekbones, the forehead if it's showing, the elbows, and anything on the legs. And we're just the highest muscle areas with our darker tone of green, and it is perfect. Here's a nice one here. I can show you. He's got a big forehead, ears, cheekbones, nose, top of the mouth, chin, and going on to the muscles, finger, and the same on this side. Top of the thigh, back of the calf, with a little bit there to do. There it goes. And the back of the arm. There we are. Okay, that one's done, that one's done, that one's done. We got 2 more goblins on the normal goblins, and then we can move on to our cave goblins. And we can use the different colours for our cave goblins. Before the cave goblins, I used a green grey for the main coat, and again we'll be using cat's eye green and just adding that into the colour and mixing that together just to give us a lighter tone for our goblin faces. Remember, goblins can also be any colour you want. They don't have to be green. There's no rule saying goblins have to be green. Okay, this is the last goblin on this batch, which is good. I'm doing well for time. It's past. We should be alright. Okay. Again, top of the forehead, top of the nose, chin, top of the muscles, biceps, and the thighs. Kneecap is always good, and back of the legs. And we are done. Okay then, let's move on to our next one. Right, now we're going to move on to our... Actually, we're going to move on straight into our armoured goblins. That'd be good. We'll do our armoured goblins because they are actually using the same base colour, so we can use our same colours. But we got 4 lovely miniatures, which are the armoured goblins. So I'm just going to mix a little bit more colour. And again, I'm using that olive brown. I'm just mixing in some of the cat's eye green to give a darker shade of green, but nothing major, nothing too bright. We will be adding a brown and a black ink wash, a mixture of 50-50 mix for the ink wash. That will tone down your colours, and of course it will blend all the colours together, and any little mistakes you also make, it hides any little mistakes you make on your miniatures, which is a fantastic thing. And then after that we go straight on to doing our secondary highlighting. Okay, let's go on. There you go. So these are the armoured goblins, and these are beautiful miniatures. Again, we're going straight to the top of the head, down the face, over the back of the ears, keeping the shade inside the ears, moving along the bottom of the jaw, and the fingers, and that's about all there is we can see on this miniature. So we'll move on to the next one. Okay, next one has got some big ears, so we'll put the paint on the ears, the top of the head, going along the nose, around the mouth this time because his mouth is open, so we want to highlight the inside of his mouth. Across the back of the ears, over the fingers, top of the muscles, just on the back of the hand there, and again, let me see, just here on the top of his thigh. That's just there. Perfect. And again, his hand just here, and the back of his neck. There we are. And that's all we need to do for this one. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Again, we're just going along the top of the nose, around the mouth, onto the fingers, top of the muscles, onto the hands, top of the knuckles, onto the thigh, top of the thigh, straight around, and wherever a little bit of the goblin flesh is showing, again it's remembering the highest points of the miniature, just to add a little bit of that green. And now we come to the Goblin Boss. So what we're going to do with the Goblin Boss, he's going to get quite a little bit of green going around all his face, because his face is very nicely done. So what we're going to do is highlight all the cheeks, go around onto his nose, onto the cheekbone, going around onto this. He's got lots of what I call flaps of skin on his face, so we're highlighting each flap of skin, and the brown underneath will give us a shade going all around his mouth. Very simply done, and looks fantastic. Again, he's got his little finger pointing out, so we're going to just highlight that finger so it's more noticeable, and work our way along the other fingers. Again, across the muscles, there we are. Simply done. That's the skin done on that one. Okay, let's move on to the Carlos Mini. This is our little barbarian. What we're going to do is just do his face, down the top of his head, his nose, top of the mouth, cheekbones, top of the ears, and he's got a fat little tummy. Carlos has got a fat little tummy. We're just highlighting that tummy, extra highlighting on the tummy, because I'm jealous because Carlos is skinnier than I am. And we just go over we just go over the legs and the arms and the highest areas. And see the difference already? That's done. I mean, all I've done is put one highlight on there on top of that green, and look at that, it's beautiful. It's already brought it to life just by doing those skin tones. So simple. And we haven't even added our ink washes yet. But this is why it's really important to just work on these parts of your minis and make them the center point of your miniature, because this is the first thing people look at in any miniature, is the face. So what we try to do is work our highest highlights onto the face, so people will see the face first. And that's taken me a couple of seconds. Once that ink wash is added and that second highlight, I mean, you really are looking at a lovely looking tabletop miniature. Okay, last one with this initial colour. This is the wizard. Got a nice big nose on the wizard. Again, going around, getting the ears. So we go across the ears, leaving that dark inside the ears. and along the fingers. Just picking out the jaw, around the eye. And he's got a little bit of arm showing there. I'll just do the other side with the ear, top of the nose, and around the eye. And that's great for our skin for this miniature. Okay, we're doing really well. Okay, now we can move on to our cave goblins. And once we've done the skin on the cave goblins, I can go directly to the ink washers. So we shall be at that stage for our next show where we can actually finish these miniatures, and that is fantastic. And you can see how quickly I've got all these miniatures done for you. Okay, so let's see what paint I was using. Right, this is the green grey. So I'm going to use the green grey on my palette. I'm going to put it here. And I'm just going to do exactly the same as I did with the last skin tone. And this time I will be adding the cat's eye green just to the palette there, and adding some of that green grey to that cat's eye. So I'm looking at a darker green for the miniature. And I think a little bit more. There we go. Not too bright. And remember, when you add that ink wash, it will blend everything in and make any colours you add will darken with the ink washes. Okay, so we got 12 of these to fly through. So let's get started. Now these are the ones with the big noses. So let me just get into my green. And again, exactly like I showed you before, we're just going over the green, over the nose, highlighting those muscles, and going down. Now these are cave goblins, so I wanted the skin to be more pale. Yes, I'd say pale. Pale's the word I'm looking for. I'm trying to make them more, you know, they haven't been in the sun. They don't see much daylight, these goblins. So we're trying to. I still want to keep them green, but I want to keep them more of a pale green, like they haven't seen the sun for quite some time. So these highlights on these goblins are much lighter, as you can see. And that's it, simple as that. A little bit there. There you go. So again, that nose is the biggest part of the miniature, so so we're just making sure that is highlighted, and the top of the fingers, elbows, there you are, and just on the chin there. Yes, I'm sure there's a sneaky goblin in there somewhere, Andy. I mean, the cave goblins, they got quite a sneaky little look to them. They look very naughty. So I'm sure there's one there. That would be an Andy goblin. Yeah, you take care, Eric. Thanks for popping on. Eric's a great guy. All my goblins are fantastic. You know, some of my goblins I've known for years. It's amazing how fast the years are flying by, you know. I mean, I started doing Twitter, I don't know, was it maybe 4 or 5 years ago now? And You know, you get to know all these people on Twitter, and some, you know, some drift away, but there's some that stick with you all the way through everything, and it's those people that you want to keep in your lives and support and look after, because you know, whatever you do, they're the people that will always have your back, whatever you do, and that's really nice. Like Tal. Not long to our game now, Tal. Okay, I've nearly got to the end of doing the skin tone. What we're going to do next quickly is the teeth. I got enough time, so what I'll do is I'll get all the teeth done on all these goblins, and then we'll add that ink wash and see if I can add a couple of ink washes before the show finishes. Because what I'll do is I will add all the ink wash ready, so for the next show it'll all be dry, and then I can just show you how to finish off your miniatures. Because showing you how to put ink wash on a miniature is very, very simple. I think you all know how to add ink wash to a miniature. It's building up to that stage of adding an ink wash, and after, what do you do with an ink wash after it's dried? So what I'm trying to show you is the prep you do before you add that ink wash to finish off your goblins, and then after the ink wash is dried, which will be in the next show, I'll show you how I finish off my bases, finish off my goblins, and makes it so easy and nice, ready for your tabletop games. I mean, I have big plans for these goblins. Okay, so we're just finishing off the skin. Oh, yeah, very simple on these ones. There's not much. There's not a huge amount of detail on the face of these goblins compared to the other ones, so it's very simple to add that highlight because it's got a big nose. So there we are. That's all those 12 done. So I have done all the skin tones for my first initial layer of skin tone on all these goblins. Excuse me. Now all we need to do is the teeth. Now I'm going to use desert sand for the teeth. Big plan, small goblins. Okay, so is that going to come out? Do I need a pokey stick? A second. Let's give that a clean. Yay, come on in, come on in. Here you go. Right, that's our paint on the palette. Now, with the teeth, I think I've showed you before about doing teeth. Goblins and teeth, you do not have to worry about painting individual teeth, and many of you have tried too hard to paint all the teeth in individually. The ink wash does that for you. So all we're doing is going straight across where the teeth are. So let me get that camera for you. There you go. As you can, I just painted the teeth. I'll do it again. I didn't realise I wasn't in camera. All we're doing is putting a line of paint over the teeth. We're not doing the teeth individually because that'll take you forever. I'll show you again because I didn't actually realise I wasn't on camera. All we're doing, you get your goblin and you put a little line over all those teeth. Just like so. And what happens is when you add that ink wash, the ink wash will go into every single recess of each of those teeth, and it will give you the shading you need, and it will make it look like the teeth are individually painted. Oh, here's a good one to show you on. So here we are with the Goblin Boss. He's got individual teeth, as you can see. Bring it closer. But what we're going to do is just go across all the teeth. Bum bum bum. All done. And the bottom. Has he got any teeth at the bottom? Yes, he has. There they are. Just going over with a paint at the bottom. Again on the top. And when we add that ink wash, all the teeth will become individual because the ink wash will go into all the recesses. So that way you don't have to paint every single one of the teeth individually, which many people do, which is crazy. And again on this one's got big gnarly teeth, so we're just painting the teeth in here like so, just going around the teeth on the wizard. And again, once that ink wash is dried, you'll see every single individual one of his teeth. No, the Goblin Barbarian doesn't want to show his teeth. He hasn't even got a smile. Sulky little Carlos. So he's not getting those teeth polished. Okay. Now we'll go straight onto this one. Like I say, all we're doing is going along the teeth. It's fast and simple. But all these little extras that you add to your miniature now, add to the finished product when it's finished. The miniature will look awesome. So we get all these done now before we add the ink wash. And no teeth on you. God, a lot of these goblins have got no teeth. They've got poor dental hygiene. There we go. You've got teeth. There we go. So we just go along the teeth. There you go. This one's got big teeth. Look at you, bad boy. There we go. So just along the teeth. And then once we add that ink wash, they'll all show up lovely. If your paint, keep washing your brush when you're doing these type of things, because the paint will dry on your brush when you're batch painting, because you're doing so much. So make sure your brush is always kept wet and washed, otherwise your paints are going to dry too fast on the tip of your brush. So what we do is every so many of the miniatures, I'll wash my brush just to make sure the tip of my brush is nice and moist and like this. Nice. So what it is, you just make sure you wash your brush often. It's a simple thing that we all forget to do. You'll be so busy painting you don't realise that the paint is starting to dry on the end of your brush, which causes the brush to go all hard and nasty, and you're not going to get the paint in the correct areas where you want it. There we are. Okay. There we are. How are we doing? More. Oh, Goblin Teeth, awesome stuff. Yeah, little teeth. Hi Tommy, how you doing? Tommy in the house. Okay, so we're on the last. These are the cave goblins. Again, we're going to use the same colour for the teeth. And again, the same routine. We're just going along the teeth. And we'll let that ink wash do the work for us. Once I've added all these teeth, we can then add the ink wash to all our miniatures. And the ink wash is just 50% brown and 50% black ink wash mixed together to give a dirty look. You can go just brown, you can go just black, or you can put the black on first and you can add the brown later. It all depends on your personal taste. It doesn't really matter, it all does the same thing. Now with the ink washes as well, for the goblin skin I'll be using a light brown ink wash. Everything else on the miniature will get dark brown, so the dark brown will be for the leather and all the fur. The black will be for all the metal areas. But what I'll do, I'll show you quickly before we finish today. I'll just get the rest of these teeth done. Can't even see his teeth on that one. Oh, they're up there. There you go. Okay, coming up to the last couple of miniatures, and then we can get some of the ink wash on, just to give you an idea how things work. And then for the next show we'll have all the little miniatures all finished, and we'll be done and dusted with all our goblin batch painting. Right, okay, so we got 6 minutes left, so I can quickly show you some of the ink washes. We'll do the Goblin Boss to give you an idea of how I'm going to do the ink washes, and then in the next show all the ink washes will be dry and we'll just carry on from there. So for the metal areas, I'm just going over the whole miniature with a black ink wash. This is None Oil by Games Workshop. I've got a little pot holder here, which is awesome, and I shall get an old brush so I can add the ink wash. Yes, this old manky brush will do. So with the black, we're just going over all the ink areas here with the black. Let me just get it in camera for you. I'm just adding it to all the metal areas of the miniature. And it instantly gives a beautiful effect to that armour. Look at that. Okay, that's beautiful. And the back as well. So we're just going over the metal areas. Now, if you got any pooling of colours of the ink wash, you can take it off with the brush. But I also like to use little cotton buds. Cotton buds are a fantastic way of taking any excess ink from your miniature, if you've got any pooling, or if you want to leave a nice shade. Another fantastic thing to do is on the axes. If you take your cotton bud, you can go around the edge of the axe or sword, and it'll give you an instant highlight, like a sharpened blade. It gives that lovely, sharp blade effect to your axes and swords. So all the metal areas get that black ink wash. So what I'm going to do is show you that one. So that's done. The brown, this is Agrax Earthshade. You can use MSP, you can use Veleco. It doesn't really matter for this ink wash stage. Yes, this is the Scottish Andy paint holder. Yes, sorry, I should have mentioned that. Yes, Scottish Andy made me this beautiful paint holder. It's absolutely gorgeous. Complete with a pokey stick. Now, this pokey stick that I've got from Andy, it fits my Veleco paints, but unfortunately it's a little bit too big to fit into my MSP paints, so I have to use my ordinary pokey stick for that one. But for my Veleco paints, this is perfect. Obviously the Veleco have a larger nozzle head. Yeah, Scottish probably is his real name actually. Okay, let's move on to our goblins, and we're just going to add some brown. Yes, thank you so much, Scottish Andy. It's one of the nicest gifts I've had. I absolutely love this. Love it. Love it. Okay, now for our goblin, let's pick a different goblin. Don't want that one. Nasty goblin. This one, yes. For the goblins, we're just going for browns, and this will go into all the woods, so it'll give a lovely effect to wood. And all over the areas which are brown on our miniature. Remember, I will be going over all the metal areas with our black. What I'm trying to do is just quickly show you the different ink washes I shall be using for each of the miniatures. So what we're doing is brown goes over the clothes, all the fur areas, all the wood areas. Black goes over all the metal areas. And for our face, I'll show you that now. Let me just show you one more of the brown. We'll do the brown with one of the cave goblins. This one here. So the brown again goes over all the leather areas. Now over the shield, because that's a leather shield. That'll bring out all the lovely details on your shield. Over the fur areas, and again over anything that's leather. And it looks fantastic. And like I say, when we go on to the next show, I'll show you the completed miniatures and we'll move on to the final highlights on the skin. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you the last ink wash before I close the show, so you know exactly what I'm going to do ready for the next show. Now the next show we are using ink. We're not going to use any. The ink wash should be dry, so we can just move on straight to our highlights and finish the bases. Now, where is it? 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 Ah. Have I got any soft tone left? Yay, soft tone. This is Soft Tone ink wash by Army Painter. Now, the soft tone is what I'm going to be using for the faces. We'll go back to our Goblin King so you can see it better. Now, it's a much lighter tone of ink wash, but what happens is this will really blend that skin that I've painted tonight, and we go straight over those teeth like I told you before. Just work your way around the mouth nice and slowly with this, because you don't want the skin is quite important. But look at that. Now all the teeth are showing perfectly. All the skin is blended in all around his cheeks and everywhere. He looks absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. So what we're doing is light brown for all the goblin skin on all these goblins. We're using black for the metal and brown for all the clothes. So that's all we are going to do for today. What I'll do is I shall finish off all the ink washes on every single miniature, and then when we get to the next show I'll be able to show you the last parts of painting the miniature, which will just be the highlights, and we'll finish off these bases. So there we are. That's another show done for today. Absolutely fantastic. I'm so glad we managed to get this far. It does mean that it's taken maybe, well, it'll take us about 3 to 4 hours to finish all these miniatures. And if you can finish all your miniatures in 3 to 4 hours doing this many miniatures, then you know you're doing okay. Thank you all so much for popping in to see me. I know ReaperCon is on, so please pop over and see everything that's going on at ReaperCon. Have a fantastic rest of the evening. Loads and loads of love to all of you, and hopefully I shall see you all on Saturday so we can get these goblins all finished. So I'll say goodnight to everyone.